need to make it.
It's gonna make sure it's recorded. Can you raise your hand, or yeah, if you want to raise your hand, or yeah.
You can raise your hand in the reaction, and you can also do it like this, or you can raise your hand like this.
Oh, in the chat, that's
Yeah.
right.
So she will see like your hand.
Yeah, and I think for the most part, I will be a good listener, participant, taking a lot of notes because I'm kinesthetic, I'm a note taker. And if I think something's important, and Susan, you skip through it, I'll address it when I talk. I'll make a little note.
Okay, but I don't mind clarifying as we go along, though. No worries.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes it's hard for me to slow down and to really capture what everybody might not understand. I have a general idea, but definitely if you guys want to help me clarify if the need it be for the audience. Yeah. Hi, Christine.
Good afternoon.
Hello, hello. Christine from Long Island, New
Long Island in the house.
York. Meet Darlene from North Carolina and Sophie from Norway.
Hi,
I can't
Christine.
see you. Oh, hello. Are you Darlene or Sophie?
I'm Darlene, the one that just said hi. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Darlene.
I'm Sophie.
Hi, Sophie.
Hello.
I met Christine at a Bob Proctor event that I was facilitating at many years ago.
4 years now. Coming up on 4 years. 4 glorious build the new model years.
You got lucky. Yeah. So
No joke.
Looks like
No
Stephanie-
joke.
Looks like Stephanie's listening on her iPhone.
No, she's still trying to connect on the audio.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So we'll start at 12 noon sharp. A couple of people tried to log in at 11 and I thought, oh my goodness, you know me. I'm like, oh, hold on. One of my clients just trying to get in. Let me just.
You have the correct time in the event.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was paranoid.
Yeah, now people are,
Okay.
4 people are in wait room. I will just admit them.
Okay, so we'll start on time.
Susan, I love this font.
Pardon me?
That Women Crushing Goals. I love that font.
You like that font? Yeah, it's a cute font, eh? I like cutesy stuff.
It's fun.
Darlene's the brand expert, so I have to impress her. I can't give her subpar qualities, you know? This is the pressure when you hang out with, you know, amazingly good branding people.
Yeah, you give me a run for my money. It's really good. Your presentation rocks. I'm super
Oh.
impressed.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. This is the only thing I'm going to be talking about for 2022 because it is critical that we get on track as women, like literally. We cannot operate in a man's world. They operate great in it, but we can't. We can't. Otherwise, we get into our heads and then we're doomed. So,
Amen.
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 So, all right. So it's 12:02. I will get started. And so as people trickle in, we'll let that go. But welcome everyone. Welcome. I think I see all the familiar faces. I don't see Stephanie's face. Well, because right now the pictures are gone down the line, so I can't even see. But welcome everybody. I'm going to be speaking today about women crushing goals. And the reason why this is so important is because we are in the beginning of the year now. This is the time. And Darlene had sent me an article not too long ago about New Year's resolutions and why they don't work and why by a certain date, which is January 17, is D-Day, they call it, because that's the day that all that hype is gone. So this is the time, we are the 20th today. I want you ladies to get on track. the way I'm going to be presenting the information here is going to be very different because I'm going to talk about why we haven't been able to achieve the way we should. So rather than giving you all the same tools as everybody else, I'm going to be talking about how women think and how women need to feel through all that linear stuff. Okay. So let me just, all right. So why are we here today? Right? We women achieve goals very differently from men. I don't know if you all agree with that or if you've even noticed that, but I've been in the man's world my entire life. So what I've done is I love men. I have nothing against men. God, we can't live without them. However, what I did for 25 years is I studied how they think. And then I adopted the thinking, but I never went away from my feeling, right? So I've been able to really balance the two. So I wanted to share all these nuggets today so that you ladies could take what I know in terms of how to think like a man, but still operate like a woman. And that is the superpower because men want that. They don't want a woman that's all feeling because then it's like unpredictable. But we need to impose some emotional intelligence there, okay? And when it comes to goals, it's critical. It is a linear process, and we have to be in our head to be able to define the goals and even through the action plans. However, to execute them and to achieve goals, we need the heart. So we need to play in both. So I'm here to give you today the clarity that you need to get focused this year, to get inspired and to win big, okay, in 2022. This is the year. There's no choice here. It's not like any other year before where it's like, okay, let's try it again. No, 2022, we either get fueled by our heart or it's gonna be challenging. And I'm not a fear mongering, but we all know that already. Starting the year, we know something's got to change. And the reason why it has to change is because we have to bring in the feminine side of goals. The world needs this. If you disagree, Dark, just put up your hand and slap me.
I'm with you.
Okay, so let me just move this thing because right now this is in my face. Okay, so my goal for today's event is for you to all walk away empowered to define a very clear goal and a measurable goal for 2022 that is aligned with your heart. I know a lot of people always talk about clear goals, specific goals, measurable goals, but today I want you to really connect with your heart as we're going through that linear process, right? For women, it's what makes us feel good, right? That's what I'm going to be hammering in today. Okay, so the agenda for today is we're going to go through why goals are important, what women struggle with specifically that men don't, the ingredients to goal success. We're going to actually have a 10-minute pee break because I'm not a torturing maniac, right? You're allowed to go and pee. 6 steps to successful goals for women. We're going to talk about Goal Friends, which is a foundation and a coaching program that Darlene has founded for all women in the world. It's an incredible. I've been a supporter of Goal Friends from the very beginning since I met Darlene. And then we're going to have a Q&A at the end. And at the very end, I'm going to have a draw for everybody because I want to give away a package that a consultation, a life and business consultation that's worth $1,000 to all of you who joined me today because you're sitting here listening to this very important information. I have to reward. We always have rewards, right? So that's what we're going to do today. And also feel free to put up your hand or put in the comments. Sophie's going to help me really manage the comments in there. So if there's anything that you really want me to elaborate, please put it on the comments because I don't want you walking away with question marks here. This is the time to get clarity. And I've just condensed a 2-day, 8-hour-a-day workshop into 2 hours. So I'm going to be going through it pretty quickly. So if you have any questions, interrupt me. Christine has seen me in action at workshops. I go with the flow, interrupt, whatever you want to do. Okay. All right. So a little bit about me for those of you who don't know me. My name is Susan Hum. I've been in the corporate scene since the age of 25. I retired at 46 from the corporate career of 20 years, 25 years of leadership and sales coaching experience, global business experience. I worked in Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, all over. My background is actually in finance and wealth management. So I'm a money person. I'm also very addicted to anything love and connection. I love anything love, and that's loving women, loving men, loving everything. What do I do now? I'm now a master coach and mentor and a self-mastery expert. So I focus on helping women with self-mastery for female coaches and entrepreneurs. That is our superpower, and we have to own it. I'm also a conscious leader, passionate about elevating women through emotional intelligence. So it's basically I don't take emotional intelligence in the same, I don't teach in the same way as you read it in the books by the authors of the experts of emotional intelligence. I call emotional intelligence a fine balance between your head and your heart, knowing how to dance between the two, knowing how to control your thoughts so that the feelings that are tied to the thoughts are managed. Right? We are not two individuals, we are one. And this is the critical part that we women have to dance with to be able to achieve goals like a badass. Not that any one of you, I see a lot of you here actually are kick-ass goal achievers anyways. If you come from the corporate world, if you come from the sales world, we're driven by targets, we're driven by goals. So I'm not talking to the, to the unknown here, but this is a whole new ballgame in 2022, because now our personal goals are actually much more important than any other goals in life. And this is the key that we have to remember for 2022. Our personal goals have to be prominent and have to be the fuel for all other goals that is tied to money. Got it? Okay. Well, it's not changing. All right. So I'm going to throw in a bit of science because, I'm such a science freak. No, not, but I'm still going to do it for Dar and Christine and anybody here that loves science. But I found some studies on women and goal setting and achievement, right? Goal setting and goal achievement. And there are studies that actually show the difference between men and women when it comes to goal achieving, right? I found a study at the US National Library of Medicine where they did a study and that showed that women listed more goals than men. So when they were asked to list down their goals, women always had a lot more goals than men, right? Second, they also had a higher proportion of goal avoidance with the women. So women tended to avoid goals more than men. And that we see that already, but there are studies that show that. Another part of that study showed that women listed smaller proportions of power-related goals. So women didn't really want power. They didn't want to get to the tops of organizations because they felt that they wanted more life balance than just corporate, right? So when they did the study on that, they found that women knew they had the ability to advance, but most of them were holding themselves back because it hindered the balance of life. And this was a very interesting one that I found because I always known it to be true because that's how I have operated. My goal when I was in my 20s was to have everything in life, but you can't have everything at the optimum 100%. It's a juggle and a balance, right? So I've always found that, but it was interesting when I saw the study. And women actually want that balance between personal and professional, right? So, which is why there's a misconception out there that women want to drive up to the top in corporate, but they actually don't in the heart of it all, right? And then there was another study by Harvard University where they showed that the professional advancement was less desirable for women. So they also did the same study and showed that was the same result that the US National Library of Medicine had too, that women didn't really want professional advancement when they really came down to the truth of it all, right? Also, that study in Harvard showed a higher number of life and personal goals for women. So again, proven the same thing by two different studies, right? Now, the other study that was really interesting was a study that was done on college students, and they found that the female students were actually better goal achievers in colleges and younger people. And that's only because they found that the women were more fueled by their emotions. Isn't that interesting? So in college, the young women are faster and more advanced than men when it comes to achieving goals. So does that mean that as we get older, it's harder for us to change? Does it mean that we have to roll with the times in terms of how we operate in goals as we get older? That's a question that I really want us to have some clarity on by the end of this call, right? By the end of this event. So why are goals important? I want you guys to write down or type in the chat what you think the reason is the importance of goals. I'll give you like 2 minutes. The importance of goals. All right, so I'm going to list them down now. 1 second, I'm just going to put this over here. All right. Firstly, keeps us focused and motivated, right? Keeps us focused and motivated. Also helps us with decision making. Without a goal, what are we making decisions on? We're not making decisions, we're reacting. It's a very different thing, right? The other thing that make goals important is that it facilitates our personal growth. If we don't have a target of where we're going, then what are we fixing? And this is what I found with women. We're constantly trying to fix what doesn't work. And believe me, everything is wrong. So if we have a goal that is specifically trying to achieve something in life that we want, the journey to getting there is the growth. Everything else that we don't need to fix is left aside, doesn't even come into view. So that is a big one for personal growth and goals, right? The other thing is, without goals, how are we even building our self-confidence, right? And Darlene's going to talk about this when we go through Goal Friends. It's like one of the big things that Goal Friends teaches is brags and celebrating wins. Right? So if you don't have a goal, what wins are we celebrating? Seriously, like, are we celebrating that we're just less depressed today than yesterday? Like, what, like there has to be something really inspiring that builds confidence. And that's why wins and brag is really important to build that confidence, to keep doing something every day that makes you proud of yourself, right? And not just haphazard towards that goal. It also directs us towards our dream life. So without that GPS, without that direction, without that destination of where we're going, it doesn't there's no direction. So the direction is key when we have goals. It gives us a sense of purpose too, right? I know a lot of women that really don't have any specific goals, and their goal is like a resolution, right? Or I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get fit. I mean, that's probably the most common goal I hear for most women. It's hilarious. It is really common. Anything that has to do with self-image, body image, it's huge, right? And I know that we have some coaches here that are from the fitness industry as well. So it's huge. It's a huge industry, but it gives us a sense of purpose with the goals. It also leads us to a greater sense of fulfillment. Can you imagine every time you go towards that goal and conquer one little fear at a time until you get to the bigger fears? And every time you conquer a little fear, there is a sense of fulfillment, like, wow, hold on, I'm moving in the right direction. It's that barometer of going in the right direction. We all need direction as human beings. Men do it, they're innate and they do this all the time. They have to stay directed. But women, because we're drawn from the heart, it's really hard for us to stay focused on anything that is not distractionary, right? Like, and that there's a reason for that, which I'll go further into. The other thing is, for coaches and entrepreneurs, this is absolutely critical that you crush goals and you learn how to crush goals. Critical, critical. I'm not even talking about life goals or personal goals. I'm talking about business goals. Goals are goals, and it doesn't matter what you put. But if you're a coach, particularly coaches, and this is why I went into the area of mentoring coaches, because most of the coaches I work with don't know how to set proper goals. And so there is a reason why they are not able to get to the level they should get to as a coach, is because clients hire us to coach them towards their goals, right? So we as coaches need to be kick-ass goal achievers, honestly. And this is why I want to deliver this today, so that you all walk away with at least the tools in the toolbox. Okay, so women's struggles with goals. Like, what are women's struggles, right? Number one, a big one, it's the wrong goal, or it's somebody else's goal. Or we go to a conference and we hear all these people's goals, right? And it's like, oh, that her goal is better than my goal. I think I like that goal more. And it's crazy how we do this. I have found myself doing it too. Well, and then we get all this information and we create a goal that is not even ours. It's the wrong goal. Or we're coached by somebody who doesn't understand us, and they're telling us that this has to be your goal, right? That's okay. If your goal is to, let's say, I don't know, earn $10,000 a month, let's say, right? If you're working with a coach that's helping you get there, if they don't understand you as a woman and what struggles you go through, it's going to confuse the heck out of us, because it's keeping us in our heads. So that goal needs to be yours. And there are a lot of exercises that we take people through in this process, which one of them is the passion test. Another one, just prioritizing what brings you joy and passion in everything you do, right? And this is why a lot of people out there, when you're working for companies, that they're not happy in their jobs, because it's not feeding what they enjoy doing, right? Because there's no goal there except going to work and going to do a job that they don't even like. So this is why it's really critical that if you're an entrepreneur or a coach, that you set the right goals that are tied to you as a human being, to why you are on this earth and what your life has been, right? This is your story, and it's critical. Number two, uninspired for your personal goals. And this usually comes with people that leave their jobs, right? Long-term careers, and they're going into something that they really love to do, right? Well, we're going from corporate goals now, business goals, company goals, to personal goals. Oh my goodness. Now that's a whole different ballgame now, because now it's all self. It's all self-love. It's all how much you feel about yourself that will drive you. There's no company that's going to fire you. There's no accountability there where if you don't do your work, you're going to be fired. So therefore, you have to do well. This is you and you yourself. So finding that inspiration to why you want to do what you're going to do for yourself is another piece of the struggle that I see in a lot of women. Number three, the clarity between limiting beliefs and your personal principles. I see this a lot, right? Limiting beliefs, it's such a loaded term, right? Because I see a lot of women, when I get them to do something, right? What I'm trying to do is get you to see where your limits are, so that we work within those limits and pushing a little bit out. But not everything is a limiting belief. If I don't move, if I, let's say, get Dar to do something that she doesn't want to do, does it mean it's a limiting belief? Not necessarily. It could be that it doesn't follow her principles, and her integrity is kicking in. So is it our integrity, or is it our limiting beliefs? And these are the pieces of clarity work that we need to put into this for women, because it's not, I truly believe that we women don't really have any limiting beliefs. If you put a group of women together, we can save the world. We can solve every problem in life. We really can. So we don't really believe in limiting beliefs until we get into our heads. Okay. And that's what leads us to number four, where everything becomes unclear. What we thought we wanted, what we thought made us happy, we're now self-judging. We're now really hurting ourselves that, oh, well, I'm not moving as fast as I should be. And the big shoulds come in. And then we hit number five, which is distractions, right? Then we have to make ourselves feel better again. So we get distracted, and our friends ask us out for supper. So we're going to go out for supper. If our kids, they need us, even though they're adults and they're 40 years old, they still need us. Like we're going to find every excuse to, like, squirrel syndrome is huge. And that's what leads us to squirrel syndrome, when we've lost connection to what we want to do in life and to what we want, what we are doing every day. And we have to reconnect with self every day. This is not something that, you do once. It's every day, feeding ourselves with what we need to stay inspired and to stay connected to the purpose of why we are doing what we are doing, right? So when coaches tell me that, oh, I want to go help the world, well, so does everybody else. So it's being a coach is not to help the world. That is not the goal. The goal is to make this a business and to create a positive circle of exchange of value, and teaching the world of women to do the same. When there is a value, then there is an exchange. And this is what we have to teach women in terms of the giving side of it, because then we go into people pleasing and over giving. So then we are just overdoing it to make sure that the people or clients or entrepreneurs are giving too much time to people, right? This is all people pleasing and over giving, right? Because that's just women. We're nurturing. We want to take care of everybody. We don't ever want to just make a promise to people and just let them down. I mean, we've gone through that enough on our own to actually have to do it to other people. So we have that barometer that protects us and everybody around us. So it's not a matter of just pushing through things. Sometimes we have to step back and analyze what's really going on before we step forward. And when I say analyze, I don't mean going through overthinking to the point where you have to numb yourself with lots of meditation and yoga, right? Analyzing is just stop and think about it without the emotions tied to it. And sometimes you need either surrounding yourself with people that can help you do that, with friends that are like maybe a little bit opposite from you, or you work with a coach or a mentor or something. But there are solutions to getting out of the head, because there are blind spots that we don't see. And sometimes we need to talk it through with somebody. And that leads me to number 7. And this is an important one, because many of the clients I work with, they don't come from the business world when it comes to coaching. And so you're walking into, so you've been really a great mentor and friend and you help so many people, right? But that's great. But taking that onto a life, a business, is a whole new ball game. You have to have business and money, finance literacy, right? Otherwise, and that's easy, because you can work with business. There's so much information out there teaching you how to run a business. There's a lot of information. However, one of the biggest things that is not taught is teaching us how to say no and when to say yes. That is the biggest killer in all the women that I've worked with, is they give too much, they say yes too much, and they don't know how to say no, because they are seen as the person to go to. Right. And so they have this belief now. So in business, part of the, never mind the fact that, you have to have your balance sheets, your profit margins, but one of the biggest struggles that women go through is how to manage their priorities and how to work their time. Right. Which I will go through shortly. The next thing is the fear of rejection. When we are an entrepreneur or when we are coaching, believe me, face a lot of rejection. You should have a rejection party just to get a feel of, put some fun in, because there will be a lot of rejection, right, Dar? Like seriously, we should just have a rejection party and go all out on, like, wow, rejection is great. It's just great, right?
That's funny. I like that.
Yeah. No, but we hinder ourselves from even taking that step forward and asking. We forget to ask. So that's why fear of rejection is a big one. And even if it's not a fear, they fear the feeling of going down the rabbit hole of feeling like crap, right? So that's a big one for entrepreneurs and coaches. And the other thing is perfectionism. So it doesn't mean that we're perfectionists per se, but the world of comparison, the world of social media makes us look like we have perfectionism issues, but perfectionism is very specific. A lot of clients I work with come to me and they say, well, I have to go over my perfectionism. I said, you're not a perfectionist, right? I know that, right? But the thing is, it's that need to compare and the inability to discern rather than self-judge from the comparison. I love comparing. I love looking at people that are doing great things. And you know, because I'm looking at them like, wow, if they can do it, I can, but I'm going to do it my way, you know? And this is what we have to really help each other stay on target with, on track with those thoughts, because we have to be able to compare to aspire and not to self-judge. That's a big one, right? Aspire. Now, the overall reason though, is that goals are perceived as too much pressure. Every time I try to ask a question, it's like, so if I ask a client, so what are your goals? They can list down a whole bunch of goals. Actually, when they give me one goal, they think of another, and then they think of another, and then they think of another. And next thing you know, we have like 10 goals, right? And then when I get them to start narrowing down, I could feel the pressure and the stress coming on, right? We have an issue with prioritizing for ourselves. It's almost like, well, just in case I give that up, what if that is the right one? Or if I give that up, what if that is the right one? And this is where it's really causing a lot of emotional struggles, you know, for women when it comes to goals. So they create this whole concept of, well, I'm just going to let it come to me. So therefore, it's almost like the excuse to not do anything. I love flow and I love receiving from the universe what needs to be known. But there still has to be direction. Still has to be strategy. So goals, if you look at goals that is too much pressure over and above all the other emotional struggles that we face in life with our kids, with our families, with our dogs, our cats, you name it. I could find every other stress out there. But I know how you feel, because I remember when I retired as a stockbroker in 2016, I hit those targets. For 10 years straight, I was the top producer at the company. So when I came out of that corporate scene, I thought, I don't want to look at another goal for the rest of my life. You know, it was so much pressure, you know, like one quarter, it might be 25 million that they put on me. And then the next quarter is 50 million they put on me. I got so sick of goals that for 2 years, I didn't even want to think about it, because I was so drained from these targets on me. And so when I had to reestablish my thinking towards goals, it took me a long time. And I analyzed myself as like, so what was the issue? What was the issue? I didn't want any more pressure, right? So I had to change my thinking to understanding what pressure is, and then going at my pace and not what somebody else is telling me, right? I have faced some of the top leaders in thought leadership in my years. And if they are trying to make me do something that goes against my integrity, I have no problem with telling them to stuff it, right? Because I know myself and I know my integrity. So it's really key that you hold strong to your integrity always, and your principles. So ingredients to goal achievement. Does everybody have any questions, or is there anything I need to clarify? Sophie, anything? No questions? Okay. Geez, you guys.
You're right.
Either I'm talking too fast or you're half asleep, or okay, so let's talk about the ingredients now to the goal achieving in life success. I'm going to talk about life success, because when women are happy at home, everything else is good. Like literally, like you can go out and make money. And when women are happy, they are powerful, right? So number one, make sure one ingredient is the goal is aligned with really what you want. What do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And be really honest. And, you know, start with aligning with nothing that ties with money, because that's another block that women have. When it comes to a money or a financial exchange, it's a big block, and then they're lost. So think about what you really want out of life. And I remember I did this exercise when I was in my 20s. And I wanted success, life success, which means I have love, I have financial freedom, I have freedom to travel, you know, whatever, right? And so that was what I really wanted. I wanted love. That's what I wanted, right? And I was never afraid to say it. However, I wasn't going to be poor looking for love either. So I had to define a strategy, right? And then my strategy was, okay, well, while I'm having fun looking for love, I'm just going to build a successful career and start from the very bottom and work my way up. So that's my strategy, right? Rather than focusing on what I don't have, we have to start learning how to focus on what is giving us momentum while staying in alignment with what we truly want in our heart. And so that the reason for that is because then that goal brings you joy and inspires you, right? So if everything you're working towards is bringing you your ultimate heart's desire, and the money side of it, or building a career, or building your business, or being a powerful coach, if that brings you the money to get you to that ultimate goal, then it's your means to an end, right? But never disconnect yourself from the true goal, ever. Right? And just because it's not tied to a money goal, it doesn't mean it's wrong, right? The money goal might come second. Your goal has to be very specific and measurable. I've seen people do this all the time, women. It's not specific enough, and there's no time on there, which means it could be procrastinated, or we lose focus because it's not specific. If the goal is not specific and not measurable, you cannot define a strategy. Your strategy is the guardrails that keep you on track. It's the guardrails that show you that you're going in the wrong direction, that you need to pull back immediately. I remember having this conversation with Dar. We were in Nashville, and we party hard. We do. I mean, that's just the way it is. But because she and I think alike, and this is why she's one of my, oh my God, my soul sisters, is that she can pull back and say, Susan, I think this is a waste of time. And I'm like, hold on. Yeah, you're right. And then we just pull out together. Right. And you need to be able to have a specific, because we don't want to, sorry. Oh, we don't want to waste time. And everything looks good when you don't have that goal. Everything looks good. Right? So if it's measurable, then we know it's like, okay, hold on, this time is wasted. This amount of money is wasted. What am I getting back from it? So to be able to analyze, you need that goal to be specific and measurable, but I'll show you how to do it after. Number 4, your integrity and dignity. Okay. To achieve your goals, you cannot trade your happiness or integrity. The moment you feel that your integrity or your reputation or your happiness is at risk, that you will stop. And if anybody says it's your paradigm or limiting belief, run. Did you say?
Yeah.
You had something?
Susan, I'm sorry to break in here because this is such an important point. So in case I don't go back to it, can you talk about how when you compromise, you'll feel anxiety and you know you're going the wrong way? It's not pure of heart.
Yeah. You know what? You know, somebody might be leading you down the wrong track, or something might be leading you down the wrong track. But what I've done in my life is I let myself go, because then I know for sure that that feeling was accurate. And the more you allow yourself the gift of trial and error, the more connected you are to your truth, where your no is a solid no, guilt-free and absolutely certain. That self-certainty doesn't come until you have tried many things, knowing you're going down the wrong road, but never letting yourself go so far down that you don't pull back and let it go. And this is why knowing the difference between letting go and giving up, it's 2 different things. Giving up is I'm a victim. I can't figure it out. I got to run. Right. But what happens there is if you don't reconcile with that running, it's going to chase you and you're just going to attract the same thing again. Whereas letting go is like, okay, hold on. Where did I go wrong here? I knew from the very beginning, I did not want to work with this person. I did not want to go there. I did not want to spend that money. So what is it that I learned? Right. And then let it go. You can't let go until you've learned why. So this is another thing that's very important. But Your integrity and dignity is the barometer only if you are very clear about your core values, right? The core value work is critical in goal setting. Critical. Did I answer the question, Dar?
You did. You did, and I'll speak to it a little bit if I get to that, but where I got off course and I had to come back when it felt pure of heart and it felt I was in my body. I wasn't anxious and thinking I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone. And I think that's something that we really need to hone in on. What's the difference? Because yes, all things are hard and it's new, but there is a grave difference.
There is for you. It's because your integrity was your mission. It's your mission. And you're allowed the gift of trying different things to test yourself, because in the end of the day, we're just testing ourselves and testing our own trust levels. That's all. It's not about trusting other people or anything like that. It's getting closer to that self-certainty that if somebody says something, I know darn it all well that it's not for me. And it's okay. It's okay to say no. But I didn't get here until I had to say too many yeses that I shouldn't have. Right. But the key is, do not torture yourself. Self-sabotage is, if you want to never achieve your goals or achieve your goals in 80 years, self-sabotage is going to really slow you down. It's the biggest break in goal achieving, is self-sabotage. So that's why it goes to number 5, the power of female networking. Wow. Women do not network like men. Men network on a very transactional level. And that's what they do best. They're very transactional. So when I work with a man, I get transactional. This is the purpose. This is what I'm going to deliver. This is what you're going to achieve. This is how it's going to be measured. And da, 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 da. That's transactional. Women meet each other. It's like, how can we serve one another? How can we help one another? How can we collaborate? How can we, save the world together? This is what women do. And there is nothing wrong with that. However, there's a difference between friendship and business, right? You can mix the two. You can mix the two. But the only way it could be mixed well is if both people are strong on their core value systems. They're strong and very centered in their integrity, and they know what lane they stay on so that you don't crisscross and crash into each other, right? Because then you're just going to have a party and nothing's going to be done. There's nothing measurable. So make sure that if you do collaborate, I love collaborating. That's my thing, right? That's my thing. Even the coaches that I bring into my coaching practice that I mentor, they stay with me, where I bring in clients and they work with them. So to me, it's collaborating, right? And it's sharing the wealth, but I also know what lane I sit in. I don't try to be a fitness coach, and I don't try to be whatever it is that I'm not. I am who I am, and that's it. Right. So if somebody needs somebody who is focused on meditation and yoga and energetic work, well, then I know people that I refer people to. And so this is why one of the biggest mistakes that entrepreneurs or coaches make is coaches believe they can help everybody. That is not true, because then you're just one of everybody. Number 2, entrepreneurs, your avatar is critical. I mean, I don't know how much time I spend with entrepreneurs or coaches on who is your avatar? Who is your ideal client? We need to hammer that down. Otherwise, in marketing, there's a saying, you market to everybody, you market to no one. There is something that makes each and every one of you super unique, and that is your life. And your life is not the same as mine. So when you want to network to women, it's really, and the more successful women have that linear side. So if I go and have a conversation with somebody who is very successful in business, like Dar, if I'm going to talk about energy and yoga and everything, and there's nothing measurable, she's going to fall asleep on me. She really will, right? I mean, there only comes a point. It's like, okay, Susan, so how's this measurable? I got it. Okay. So having that accountability, which Darlene will talk about, and how to elevate each other as women. I'm going to let Darlene go in more detail about that. So number 6, the balance between giving and receiving. Oh my goodness. I think every one of us sitting in this room are givers. There's no doubt about that. And then how we stop ourselves from giving is we just block and just go and hide and retreat. But we forgot the piece about receiving, right? And so in business, we have to have a value exchange. I'm giving my value to you, and therefore, what are you giving me back in exchange? And when there is not that equilibrium there, what's happening is you are selling yourself out. So you are telling the universe, I'm not worthy to receive anything. So the universe will keep giving you everything to keep taking from you, because you didn't tell the universe or don't tell the universe and then act opposite, because that's misaligned. That's not an alignment. Whatever you want, you have to operate in that. So, and I had to work through this, because when I had to build my coaching practice, I went from selling millions and millions and millions of dollars for a brokerage firm, for a bank, right? Millions, to selling myself. And I didn't know how to put a dollar sign right away to helping somebody with their life, helping somebody overcome pain. Like, to me, that's like, well, I love you, I'm going to help you, but you cannot do that. Then it's not a business. So one of the things to really be aware of how much you're giving, and this is the transactional part with yourself, is that keep that calendar, because that's the only way you can measure. It's not in your head, because the days roll by and you go to sleep, and next thing you know, you just gave all this and you'll start again the next day. The measurement is keeping a very tight calendar, right? I even put self-care or free time on my calendar to know where I'm allocating, right? And so if I have to take my free time away to add another client there, I am doing it consciously rather than free flow, so that you're balancing your giving and receiving from yourself. Is self-care, is receiving for yourself. So really important that we talk about that balance. And of course, that leads me to the next ingredient: healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries. A boundary is not a brick wall. There is breathing room. I see a lot of women have these boundaries, but they're in complete protection mode, right? They're not allowing anything to come in. So, and another part of that healthy boundary is allow yourself to make those mistakes. Like what you were asking, Darlene, is that, to go down that rabbit hole, to let yourself go down that rabbit hole for the gift of learning. But the healthy boundaries is allowing that experience to come in. It's the same thing as allowing people to come into your heart. And yeah, you know what? We're going to be blindsided. Nobody's perfect, right? So we all believe that nobody's perfect, but yet we don't let nobody in, don't let anybody in. So the healthy boundaries is allowing that experience in to potentially make a mistake or be hurt. But I see a lot of women don't even let anybody in, and then it turns into control. Then you're living protecting yourself. And the worst thing about protecting ourselves and not having healthy boundaries is our eyes are not seeing the beautiful opportunities that are right in front of us because of the brick wall that we put up. So healthy boundaries, it's a filter. It's not a brick wall. And when we allow our people in and they hurt us, or we are hurt for whatever reason, the world is a mirror to us. It really is. Whatever is happening to us is happening for us, which means we're drawing in that experience to learn something. So give yourself the gift of having healthy boundaries, not a brick wall. And you know what? I expect that a lot of people will actually do the opposite of what they say. But I usually know the clues of who to, I trust you as much as I trust your patterns, put it that way, right? And if you just keep that as the barometer, don't give your trust free flow to absolutely everybody. Trust is something that needs to be earned. Trust is earned. You can love everybody, but you don't have to trust everybody, you see? So these are really, I mean, this is an in-depth, just talking about healthy boundaries is a whole weekend course on it, right? But I just wanted to give you that as a major ingredient for success in life, and particularly as an entrepreneur, or definitely as a coach. If as an entrepreneur or a coach, if you don't have healthy boundaries, you will be eaten alive by the world. We are on the front lines. We have to be able to discern. All right. Well, we're going to take a 10-minute break. PP, do whatever you want. You can converse. If you have any questions, I'll be here. But we're going to go straight into the 6 steps of how to really achieve these goals.
Awesome. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Susan. That was magnificent.
Really? Coming from
Oh, fantastic.
you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me see who's here. Crystal. Oh my gosh. Crystal's from Montreal.
I
Mary,
am totally here.
you're here.
I was in my car for part of it and then I'm cooking now. So, but I'm like absorbing absolutely everything. What a great, great conversation, Susan. Thank you.
Well, you're dealing with women and body image and fitness and self-love. So this is critical.
And stress and yeah, absolutely.
Stress and anxiety, exactly. And a lot of the stress and anxiety that's out there is because we don't have any clarity on where we're going, right? And it's critical that as coaches, we know how to crush these goals, so that we can see their blind spots, because that's what makes a coach powerful, is being able to see our own blind spots as well as everybody else's, right? So
And I was just going to say, just to add to that, Susan, what you were saying is that all of these things we can use with our clients, but we forget to use them with ourselves. And so having the opportunity to be in something like this, to take that ounce of self-care for us, is cherry on top.
Oh, well, you know what?
Thank you.
You're doing great work, though. I mean, there is the anxiety and the mental health out there. It's critical that women focus on that self-love and that self-care, and just getting back to the baseline of, okay, let's just stop and take care of ourselves. We're not even talking about achieving acceleration in life. You're dealing with a lot of people that are just trying to tread water, right? So
Yeah.
good on you.
Thank you.
How about you, Christine? Because you run a team. How's your team doing? How are they like?
It's we are in a 90-day hustle, and I am in my, as you know, my liberation and my freedom from corporate America. So I so relate to you. I've been making a decision for a long time, and security girl over here. So these are wonderful times to reach in deep into yourself and declare what you're going to bring to the world and others. So it's a symbiotic relationship that's going on as I continue to grow, expand, and sharpen the sword of my own legacy and truth of how I'm moving forward, and redefining that really in this new freedom time, because it does change. I'm just so excited every day, and I'm amazed at how spirit, God, the universe is responding, and how my manifesting is just coming in the minute I declare it. So I've got not only my vision board, but I've got chalkboards where I'm writing on it, and I'm declaring, and I'm looking to bring that joy to others, and so everything is shifting for others. There's a coach component with the team, and so meeting people where they are and finding what their goals are is very exciting. So I love this, because I'm defining my goals and then listening to others' goals. So I'm still getting clear. I'm still in a discovery mode within myself and with others. If that makes
Absolutely.
sense.
Yes, because you're on the leadership work now.
It's a redefinition, yeah, and coming into I give myself permission to be all that I was meant to be, and it can be very difficult as a woman, that pleasing piece and the piece about being a giver and a lover of people. When we're in service, that discernment and the boundaries, for me, is a piece that's a muscle I'm really working on.
Yeah. And, because you do energetic work with people as well. So
Yeah.
you take in a lot of stuff. One of the things that I work on a lot with people, and this is something you can take away, is that piece of not taking somebody else's path as your responsibility. It's huge. It's that, there's a quasi not caring part of that, like we have to go there. But really, I mean, you can only do so much. And yes, sometimes we make mistakes on people. Maybe sometimes we push somebody too hard because we're still learning in the process, right? And the more we learn, and I've seen coaches, some of the coaches I've mentored, when I watch them coach, I see them pushing somebody past that point where I'm like, okay, hold on, stop. You just hit a trauma point. We got to stop and step back. When you hit a limit, don't push past. Then you're bullying. So there's an element of when we are not sensitive enough for somebody's limit, we actually are doing something wrong to their energy as well. So being very cautious and being kind to yourself in that process too. You know what I mean? Because you're a smart woman, as everybody here is like very much like intellectual, right? So sometimes we get in our head and we could see that they have so much potential, but as a coach, as a leader, we have to be careful that many people never reach their potential, right? Their potential is as close as we can get to their potential, right? So it really is that compassion piece that is really critical.
And it's also deep listening,
It
which
is.
is a skill that I definitely am continually working on. you
Yeah.
know.
And you know what? It's not on us. If somebody chooses to not want to be better, and believe me, as coaches, we know what people say. I don't even bother because I watch what they do. That's what's going on. That's the current truth. It's not your core truth, but it's the current truth. And you can say all you want that I want help, I want to change. But if they are not emotionally connected to that change, then it's going to be hard to actually get them to do it. So it's getting them emotionally connected. That's the hardest part. I've worked with coaches that have been coaches for years. And then when we do that connection piece, they're like, oh my goodness, is that really how it feels? I've been coaching clients on this and this is how it feels. I'm like, yes, you have to be able to go through the process yourself to be able to get to that next level where you're attracting different levels of things, or people. So yeah.
And that I think is the key piece. There are some who are going to run with you in the moment. And I'm talking about matching energies and those that are for you, that you align with. And there are some that not right now. It may be not permanently, but not right now. And there's that discernment piece and the choice piece and the time, where do you spend and give? And that really covers not only business, it covers friendship, it covers marriage, it covers it all. Being very clear about what you want and what you want to create, and then being all you are meant to be and bring to the equation,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's probably too many words, but those are all the words swirling in my head as I'm assessing and feeling about all of this.
Well, that's the other thing, right? Part of goal setting, the strategy. So you set a goal, right? You set a goal that's very specific. Let's say the goal is to work with 10 clients a month on average, or 100 clients a year, like whatever it is, right? So that sets as the goal. Then the strategy is, okay, so what type of clients do I want to work with? So that's the strategy, right? So without the goal, you don't have the strategy, because it is the biggest mistake that leaders or coaches make, is that they feel that they need to work with everybody that comes to them. But if we're not closing that portal to everybody or filtering that portal, then you're attracting everybody. And then we think that, oh, we're attracting it, so we have to work with them. It's like, no, we're not filtering the portal.
Wow, I just had a big aha. And you said it before when you said, who's my audience? Who's my ideal?
Yeah.
And I want some flexibility in that, because there's heart around that in what I do. And
Mhm.
I don't do just one thing. So getting clear on that and in my goal setting is going to be important.
Yeah, because you have to reverse engineer, right? And I'll talk about that after, right? And when you set a goal.
Coming from the tech world, I love that phrase.
Yeah, I know, right? I've been doing that since my 20s, believe me, and I'm 52. It's been a long time. I reverse engineer. I just don't go reverse it. I don't run people over. That's all.
Begin with the end in mind, as they say.
There you go. Yeah. Somebody asked me a question. My Instagram handle is susan.hum on Instagram. I'm not big on Instagram. I wish I had more time to play with Instagram, but I really don't. Okay, so why don't we continue on? Is everybody okay with continuing? All good? Yes, Michelle, you are. You're attracting. Well, not for long, Michelle, not for long.
No, not for long. Thank you, Susan. I know I'm counting my days down.
Oh my God. I met
To
Michelle
freedom.
on New Year's Eve. I took a call from her on New
Yes.
Year's Eve. I never do. And this woman, I tell you, she is incredible. The power. I'm so thankful for what I attract, because you all are amazing.
Same, Susan. Same. I think it's a reciprocal attraction that we've had, and I don't even know what's going to happen when we actually get down to business. I think everything's just going to blow up. The world is just going to blow up. Something's going to happen. I'm telling you right now.
I mean, just
Get
you
ready,
alone
everyone.
to blow it up. You don't even need me. Just you alone. I just got to pump some gas in you and give you the right steering wheel, and you're fine.
Oh my gosh. It'll all be down to you then. They'll all blame you when anything gets like, when anything blows up. They'll be like, who did this? I'm Susan.
There you go. Blame me. I'm gonna be skiing in the Alps while you're blaming me. That's good.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay,
Love it.
so let me just get to the next slide. So let me continue on. So again, just keep asking questions. I'm good with answering questions. Okay, so the 6 steps to successful goal setting, right? Number 1, define the right goal for yourself. So it looks like all of you are actually doing what you are meant to do, or you feel like you are, or you know what your mission is. And some of us have bigger than others. It doesn't matter. I hear a lot of women talking about, well, my goal is just so small compared to, like, oh, let's say Darlene is out there to, save, like, help every woman in the world. Like, that's a huge mission she's on. And my little rinky dinky one here, well, it's not that rinky dinky, but it's not compared to that. She's literally a missionary. So we cannot compare. What is important to you is going to be important to you. And if you don't doubt yourself, no one else will either. Okay. If you are finding people that doubt you, because you're doubting yourself, that's a big blind spot. Okay. If you are surrounded by people that keep questioning you, it's because you are questioning yourself. And that's all it is. We don't have to be angry about people questioning us, because the moment somebody questions me, I'm like, hold on, am I certain about that? Or if I lost my job, it's like, I didn't even want it anyways. Or a guy breaks up with me, it's like, I didn't even want him anyways. So we really are creating everything. Okay. So defining the right goal. And this year, again, I'm going to repeat it. It has to serve your heart, because the heart will win out always. It's your gas tank. It's your fuel. If we don't stay connected in the heart, right, then we're in our head. And then that's not pretty. For women, it's not pretty to be in our heads. We turn into ice queens. Nobody loves us at that point. We're not pretty at all, right? So stay heart-centered for sure. And to stay heart-centered, I'll go through that on how to do that, okay? Number 2, specific and measurable. It's funny, last year, I'll give you an example. Last year, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go all out, because I heard Grant Cardone saying something once, and not that I'm a Grant Cardone lover, I'm not. He says some really good things, but having it drilled into my head by screaming at my face, I don't really care for that either. So, but he did say something that was very interesting, I'm gonna share with you. He said, shoot for big, much bigger than you even think you can get to, right? Because even if you meet a third of that, wouldn't you be happy? Right? And this is the key. This is the key. We think that because we're not predominantly in our head, when we get into our head, we think that, oh, goal means that we have to do it. Otherwise, we're going to be tortured, right? So I did that. No joke. I did that last year. I said, 10 million is my goal for 2022, 10 million, right? Okay, right, like whatever, okay. And I'm like, and when I said it, I felt my heart drop to the ground. And I think I even stepped on half of my heart while I was like, stumbling to go get it. But I said, oh, so obviously there's a block. When we see our own reaction, be so self-aware with yourself without judging. So when I saw myself doing that, I'm like, oh gosh, I don't believe it. So I'm going to have to do something to believe it, right? So I started working on the work that I do with clients on myself now, because I'm taking it to the next level. Yeah, earning $1 million is nothing. Earning 2 million is nothing. But 10, that's a whole different ballgame. So anyway, no joke, within a month, an opportunity came out of the blue from somebody that's already in my circle that pulled me into a project that is 10 times that, you know? And so it's crazy how opportunities come. You know, when we set these measurable goals and these specific goals, it's not to torture us if we fail. It's to open our eyes to the opportunities that are all around us, right? And that is key. So the more you do it for yourself, and Darlene is going to talk about emotional contagion, the more you do it for yourself, the more you are that contagion for everybody else without even doing much. The energy is powerful because you are doing it yourself. And then you start attracting clients that want and dying to pay you for what you're doing for yourself. And believe me, women out there are torturing ourselves every day for not being more than what we are. And I know this whole self-love movement is all about, well, you are perfect the way you are. Yeah, easier said than done. All right. When I have to face these rejections and failures and, oh, again, I made another mistake. It's like, but there's a way out of that. Right. But specific and measurable, go all out and then release it to the universe to bring you the opportunities. But keep your eyes open. When we are self-sabotaging and hard on ourselves, our eyes are only going within. We're not seeing what's outside and around us. So just be aware of that. Number 3, plan like a woman, right? Have fun with it. Women have to have fun. Men are so intense with their planning and everything is so, it's like just not sexy, right? But imagine you plan together, right? And again, Darlene's going to talk about the whole contagion of women getting together and elevating one another, right? Plan with fun. We always have to stay in joy. Everything has to be fun. And you know what? Bring funny into your life as much as you can. Laugh, laugh, laugh. When Darlene and I talk sometimes for hours, we're like laughing at ourselves, laughing at the world, laughing at everything that goes wrong with us, right? Like literally, like how silly. We are hyper intelligent, successful women. How can we still do stupid things like half the time, right? Because it's funny. Otherwise, we're boring, right? If we don't have, if I sit here and tell you just how perfect I am, believe me, I'm not. And I'll give you a story. My husband drove me to the grocery store so that I can go and pick up romaine lettuce. That was all was my responsibility at the grocery store. I walk in and then I see tofu and then I see mushrooms. And the next thing you know, it's like a half an hour I'm in the shop. But I didn't take a half an hour. What I did was I walked around and I went to I would have been only 15 minutes, but I went to the cash register. I'm standing there. It was a long line. I get to the cash. I'm next. I look down. It wasn't my cart. I took somebody else's cart. So I'm like, oh, where's all my food? So I had to run back to the lettuce section. I didn't see any lady lost, like, you know, or anything. Thank God I didn't have her wallet. And so then I had to go find my cart. So next thing you know, half an hour later, I come back into the car and he's like, you were supposed to get romaine lettuce. What took you so long? And I told him the story. He goes, oh my goodness, Susan, how do you ever even do your job? Because I'm just flowing through the grocery store, right? I'm not thinking about anything, and maybe I should. He goes, do you know you just played mind games with a poor woman that was at the grocery store? She's thinking she's going crazy because you just stole her cart. And now she's thinking she's going crazy. I said, well, I'm just a spazoid. That's what, so we have to bring fun in, right? And that's what it is. It's just being a woman and being in flow. So if you could plan out your year even and get together with women that are like you to generate ideas, to really elevate one another with that creativity. And a friend of mine just posted something that was really hilarious. Oh my God, it was an Einstein quote. I gotta pull it up because it just made me laugh so hard. I'm gonna pull that, hold on. And it was, oh, where is it now? Okay. Stay away from negative people. They have a problem for every solution. Isn't that great? and stay surrounded by people who are hyper solutions oriented. That they see the obstacles, but they look beyond. And it's really critical if you want to stay high vibed, okay? So plan like a woman together and with the right people, not with party poopers. And we're not going to say the DD word because Darlene doesn't like the DD word on the party poopers. But so number 4, effective learning. Oh boy, this is huge. I've seen people go through down that rabbit hole of overlearning. We're never good enough. We need another certification. We need another coaching program. We need another what, and we need another what. Now, without a goal, a measurable goal, that is very dangerous because we're learning to fix now. We're not learning to achieve a goal. That is really critical distinction, okay? We need to learn based on how close it's getting to our goal or whether we are even having the right goal. So all the learning has to be tied to that goal, whether it's a right goal or wrong goal, it doesn't matter, right? But if you don't have a goal, I have seen clients go down that rabbit hole and go into debt because they're never good enough. And believe me, I work with those clients that are overstudied. And what we do is we go through the entire time I'm working with them where they're not allowed to read another book. They're not allowed to read their tarot cards. They're not allowed to do anything. And I just need to reconnect them to what is it that they need to put into their backpack and what they need to leave behind. Because there's a lot of information we have in our head that is completely not even relevant to who we are as a woman, as an individual, okay? And that's when we could flow into focus, I hear too many women talking about, well, I'm going to try to figure it out. Oh my Lord, that just makes me, I just have a migraine thinking about figuring it out. What does that even mean? And what does it even look like? Because all we're doing is we're recycling what we don't know. So we don't know all that stuff is just recycling. So when we have all these pieces, having the right goal, having it specific and measurable, planning with fun, like a woman, with joy, and then implement into your strategy the learning that you need to go through to achieve that goal, right? And then that's when you could flow into focus. It's like, okay, hold on, I got to step back. What's in front of me that I'm not seeing? And you know what? Sometimes it requires us to just sit back, breathe, say F it, and say, okay, universe, I surrender. Show me. Every time I did that, I believe I still have to remind myself, every time I do that, an answer comes in the weirdest ways, right? In the weirdest ways. And number 6, do all this with a lot of fun and stay inspired, right? And I'm going to go through each and every one of these separately. Okay, so defining the right goal. Is it a personal goal? Is it a professional goal, right? What is pressing? And I remember speaking to a woman where her goal was actually to put food on the table. She was a single mom. Her son was 5 years old and she was in depression. She was on disability because of depression. This was many years ago. And I remember she's always saying she's positive though, and she's spending all this money, the little money she has, in these courses on like how to manifest or all that stuff. So she's trying very hard to learn, but she was setting the wrong goal. She didn't have any goals of survival. She didn't have any goals of what she's going to do on the next step to actually take care of herself and her son. So we have to be able to put things into the right perspectives. Not all of us are in the same stages of life. Some of us have security. Some of us don't. Some of, it doesn't matter what it is. You have to look at your specific situation. And if your goal is to take care of your child and you're going out there and spending money and another $10,000 on another trip to another conference to try to get high vibed, and then you're going to come back and you're $10,000 in arrears and now you're scrambling again. So now you're having to go and meditate yourself 24/7 because it's just too stressful. You're not setting the right goals, right? We have to be mindful, very mindful when we're setting goals. And that's what mindfulness is all about, is being honest without hurting ourselves and being torturing ourselves, and being honest to say, hold on, okay, I do want it all. I do want that $1 million a year, but for now, can I just get myself on an emotional even keel where I can actually go and talk to people, right? And this is the danger of the whole inspiration thing that comes from personal growth, right? Everybody's high vibe and pump it up, louder the music, the better it is. But then we go home and we're alone and that's it, right? So make sure that your goals are not conflicting, because if you do have goals that are conflicting, then the one that's serving your heart is always going to win out. Always going to win out. Like, I'll give you the example again. If you're working in a job that you hate and you're dying to get out, and every day you go to work, you're like, I can't wait till the day I'm not going to be here, right? And then you're going to work every day trying to do a job that you're not going to like. So you're telling everybody that, or the universe, that you don't like this job and you hate it. That's what your heart feels like. But then your head is like, well, I have to achieve these targets or achieve these objectives, because otherwise work is going to fire me. That's a big conflict. And then you get fired or you get let go. And then there's depression hits because now you've been let go. So you feel like you've been rejected so you have to be very mindful of what goals are going on within you. Okay. And that they are not conflicting, because if they are, your heart will always win out. And that's the beautiful thing, because our heart is the truth, right? It has to serve your purpose. Right? So if you're a single mom and you need to put food on the table, then those goals have to include that while you're going for the bigger dreams, right? And that's really important to remember. So the immediate goals, and that's the type of goals, there are means goals and then there are end goals, right? So the means goals, I remember when I was working as in the brokerage firms, I remember the last 3 years was really challenging because I didn't want to be there, right? However, I knew I couldn't let it go because it was easy money, good money, great money. And I actually convinced my husband to retire from corporate law, from law, right? So I'm like, okay, I can't have both of us, because I have to still hold him up and get his mindset up and okay. So I can't have both of us treading water. So for 3 years, as I'm working on him to really springboard his career into entrepreneurialism, I had to stay at work for 3 years as a means goal. So now I changed the goal into a means goal. So it's a means to an end. And every day I go to work, and I cannot let myself go into the negativity of I hate it here. And I never spoke it because I knew why I was there. So you have to be very careful when you speak what's in your heart, it will come true, right? And I had targets that were so hard. So when you're able to switch the goals because you know what the purpose is in any given time, then you know how to achieve them and you know how to live with them and reconcile with them. End goals is, the ultimate goal is like, well, what does that ultimate goal look like? Like, do you want to have a home in Switzerland and a boat, a yacht in Italy? And like, what does it even look like? Or you just want to travel the world in a trailer with your husband and just flow through life and everything will be fine. Like, it doesn't matter what that end goal is, right? Whatever is yours. And it could be, I worked with a coach that she doesn't want any more clients. She's so happy in her life. She retired very successfully from her corporate career. She doesn't want any more money. She really just wants to live a happy life. And I respect that, because it's not about comparing, right? You got to own you and what your goals are. So if it's a means goal or an end goal, you have to know the difference. And then the strategies for both are very different. Right? Because the means goals is a very practical thing. You have to get a job, you have to have some kind of money and whatever it takes to get that money. So that's a different type of work. Okay. And also, is it your goal? Now, as women, our makeup, our physiological makeup is the nurturing maternal side, which means we're here to serve. We're here to serve our kids. We're here to, like, when they call out, we drop everything. They become priority, and then our husbands become priority, and then everybody becomes our priority, our friends and everything. So it is really a tricky thing for us to stay on target with our own goal, which means you have to build your own cubby space and really go into that space alone and pretend nobody exists. It's not to say that we don't want anybody to exist, but we have to go into that headspace to even think about, what would we do if we were alone? What would we do? Right? That's the starting point. And then if you have obligations, fit those obligations around that, rather than fitting yourself around everything else around you, if that makes sense, right? So to stay with all of that, though, that's work in itself. We need that emotional connection to it, right? Why is this so important? Right? My family, my parents and my siblings used to be my emotional connection to all my years of working up the corporate ladder and really traveling around the world. And it was hard because I never slept, and I knew everybody to everybody. I networked like a maniac, but I was doing it because I knew that they gave me this life and I had to retire them. I had to give them a good life. But then over the last 3 years, my husband has become my emotional connection to this goal that we're doing now. I'm doing now, because he has entrusted so much in me, and so much money has gone into investing in me that I have to, there is no fail here. I have to go forward, because then I'm disappointing another person. So we always have to have that connection to something that doesn't allow us to give up. And you have to find that. And sometimes it takes for me to sit in that space for even 2 minutes and think about what would happen if I just give everything up. And I think about that, right? Michelle, you have your hand up?
Oh, sorry. Yes. So I'm just listening to, which I love about the emotional connection that you need to make. And I love you bringing in your own personal experience of that. Now, the question that I'm kind of sort of hearing myself ask is, with that emotional connection, it sounds like it's your emotional connection, but in your kind of testimonial, it seems to be to somebody else other than to yourself. I don't even know how you have an emotional connection to yourself other than putting someone else at the end of that, like tagging that to someone, because it seems to be an emotional connection coming from you to someone. Is that really what you're referring to?
Because, yeah, so good question. Because we women are trained to think of everybody else's goal first before ours, it's easier for women to latch onto something that's really important, especially kids. Like if you have kids, that's the emotional connection, right? That's the emotional connection of what you need to do to get to achieve your goal, because you're doing it for your kids, right? So as women, it's a lot easier if we have that connection to something external that's important to us. But however, there's a caveat. We're working towards that connection with ourselves as we have that leverage, you see? So it's always moving into self-mastery, always moving towards self-connection, always moving towards self-certainty. But to get us going with ease rather than struggle, because if I ask any woman that what's important to you alone without anybody around, it's hard. It's really hard, right? So if somebody else, like right now, my integrity and my dignity is the only thing that guides me with everything I do. It makes me call myself out, because that is the most important thing to me now than even more than my husband, is my integrity and dignity to myself, that my word is aligned with my heart, that whatever I say is the truth, as truthful as I can be. And that is my emotional connection to what I need to do, more so than anything else. But I also like to have that accountability of, okay, well, my husband still needs to see the results, because, that's just the way it is. He's a man. So, but I like having that kind of accountability. But the emotional connection now is me. It used to be something else, and that's okay. Did I answer the question?
Yes. And I think it's just what it's doing is, I feel like those experiences are individual to the people in terms of how that would play out in real life. Because to you, it was somewhere else other than you, and now it's to you. It's almost like, and I'm just shortening that, I don't want to take up too much time, but it's almost like it begins outside of yourself, and then when your integrity lines up with that, it now starts to make its way back. That's what that sounds like. To where you can now assimilate the connection to yourself and what you need to be true to, and how that's all going to kind of flow inside of whoever else is in your life at the time, right? Without eliminating them, as it were, and being all self-centered and self-absorbed or whatever that is, right? So yes.
Absolutely. Yes, because don't forget, when we're achieving goals, it's the journey towards achieving the goal that's more important.
Goal, that is it. Yes, absolutely. Not the goal itself, it's the journey.
Yeah. And that emotional connection with yourself is the journey. It's self-work, right? So, but we need to hang on to things that are practical and accountability to do it. Otherwise, we lose steam.
Perfect. Thank you so much. That's great. Thank you, Susan.
Welcome. Okay, specific and measurable. To start with, how even to make it specific and measurable, start with visualizing the outcome. So if you say, okay, well, I want to make $1 million a year, and okay, so you can see that, that's easy, right? You can see the dollar signs. Okay, well, then once you see that, because anything that's measurable, you can see. Anything that's specifically, you can see. If you can't see the outcome or the goal, then it's not specific or measurable enough, okay? Then it leads you to create trackable progress, right? Because once you see it, so let's say, for example, I'm working with a client. If you are, if your goal is to make $1 million a year this year as a coach, well, let's just break it down to the stupid, right? Trackable progress. Okay, so if you're charging $15,000 per client, work it backwards. How many clients do you need a year? Divide it out. And that's your progress, right? As you go along. So you'll need about 8 clients a month or whatever it is. And so if you want to, and to make it time-based, it's going to be the year. You can make it a month. It doesn't matter. I'm just giving examples, right? So once you have those 3 points solid, right? Then you've just brought in the male energy of thinking, because it's trackable, right? Okay, so maybe you won't hit it in the first month or the second month, but at least you're trying to achieve that, right? So then you have that structure. It also, this is very important because it avoids you being trapped in what I call the insanity loop, right? It's to constantly taking the same action over and over and over again and repeating yourself. And the outcome, the ROI is like, there's no, like you're just running on that loop because you don't have that purpose for why you're doing what you're doing. So once you have a very clear goal and it's measurable, then you can stay on track. It's like, okay, hold on, I spent too much time on this one, which means I only have this much time in a day. So next one, I'm going to do less for that particular person or client or things like that. So at the same time, you're managing your structure and you're also elevating your ability to connect with somebody, whether it's a client or with people. Okay, does that make sense? But if you didn't have that purpose, which is a goal is a purpose. So whenever we hear people saying, well, I don't have a purpose, well, that's because you don't have a goal. Like it's just as simple as that. This is not rocket science. This is as simple as it gets, right? So it's really important. And I'll give you an example, a really important example. It's like you go into you go into your car, you're about to, let's say I'm in Montreal, I'm going to drive to New York City, right? So I'm like, okay, I go into my car. Well, I'll just go without any GPS, nothing. I've never been to New York City, whatever, right? So what are the chances that if I make the wrong exit, that I'll know I even made the wrong exit, right? But without the GPS machine, you don't have that barometer of, when you go off the route for the GPS machine, it'll send you right back on track because you've put a destination address in there. Okay, so it's really important that you have your destination. A destination and GPS machine is the same thing as a destination as a goal, right? And then the trackable progress, well, the GPS machine does it for you. But you know what? The GPS machine is not foolproof either, because I've been taken to places where I don't know where the heck I am because somehow the GPS machine was tied to an old satellite reading or something, right? So you still have to be able to flow with it and be in control of it. But without a goal, you're just reacting to everything coming at you. And it's not fulfilling as a human being. And it's also very, very risky for you to be trapped in that insanity loop. And then you just drain yourself out. And then you're not even good enough for yourself to do anything. So I like to avoid that by having these goals. Okay. All right. So action plan, like a woman. So decision making is probably one of the most challenging things for women. Decision making, making a decision, right? Without a goal, you cannot make decisions. You're not proactive. You're not even managing anything. So let's say, for example, if you make a goal of $1 million a year, and let's say it takes you 8 clients a month, right? So now you have to make certain decisions on, okay, so 8 clients a month, what type of clients would pay that much, 15,000, let's say, right? Do you have the abilities to serve that clientele? Okay, so we have to make some decisions on either you do some self-mastery work or you take some coaching courses specifically to becoming more that, or hiring a marketing firm, right? But you see, these decisions are made easier if you know what the purpose of the decisions are. But right now, with social media and with advertising, it's very insidious. The programming that's going on in programming us to make fast decisions without thinking. That's what advertising is. And we're bombarded with the algorithms on Facebook. It's really horrendous that people are being sold on a lie and the truth doesn't sell. So we're buying lies now. That's what's the programming. So I know that everybody here who is an entrepreneur and everybody here sitting in front of me is honest and would not do that. That's why you're sitting in front of me, because I would never do that. It's critical that you really attract your right clientele that will come to you, because you can't, that's a needle in the haystack. You can't go out because you'll dry out if you don't have a lot of self-certainty, right? So really work on that goal, and then the type of client you want to work with. That's the marketing goal, right? That's marketing and sales. It's like your ideal client. So let's say for you, Christine, you're building a team, so you'll need leaders in there. So you need different layers. So, and the marketing is all tied around how you structure your business with the different people that could help you do what you're going to do, which means conscious leadership. You create the leaders based on duplicating yourself, and then you attract everybody who's yourself. That's the strategy that I would look at, right? So you see, strategy is important to help you make decisions. And also strategy helps you define what people you let into your life and what people you don't. And there are 2 types of people. There are people that you're going to talk to that you're not going to just reject, but then it helps you make a decision on how much time you spend on them and what you give, versus people you let into your close inner circle where you share your heart. Well, that's another decision, right? But it's not guilt that we're putting people in compartments, right? Because this is what we have to teach all women, right? Just because they don't do it doesn't mean they're right, right? We have to stand as role models for all women out there to not feel guilty about, not having to explain ourselves, to justify ourselves, to validate ourselves. We don't. If everybody would just stay in their lanes and everybody attracts whoever they are to them and don't crash into each other's lanes, that's what brings about the perfect collaboration, right? So if I collaborate with Christine, I know for sure what work she does. And I know enough about her work but I can't do it. I'm not going to even try to pretend I'm going to do it, because first of all, why would I drain myself, and why not share the wealth with somebody that I love and I know is good? So when you meet other coaches that are really good at what they do, and you are in your lane and they're in theirs, that's reciprocation of referrals all the time, right? And this is what collaboration is. But if we're sitting here thinking we can help everybody, there's no collaboration. It's competition.
It sounds so much, if I could just really deeply knowing who you are.
Yeah.
Deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what we are is not everybody.
Right.
And we have the right energetically,
Yes.
universally divine gift to let somebody go, and that's it. Right? To let somebody go to the right place, because when we're holding them to us, we're not serving them. We're holding them back from what serves them, because it doesn't serve them to be with me. Believe me, clients don't come to me. They won't. I am hyper truth. Like if somebody is not ready for truth, they will never come to me. I don't even have to reject anybody anymore because they won't waste my time. And that's just the way it is. I don't tell people not to come to me. It just is. Crystal, did you have a question?
It was more of a comment, and just based on what you were saying about women holding each other up instead of bringing each other down. It's funny, it's been 2 years that I've been outside of the corporate world, and I have never seen more beauty in the way that women are holding each other up instead of tearing each other down. There's a very, very big difference in those two worlds, and I think we just need more of that. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, just wait till Darlene talks about girlfriends, because it's critical that women trust each other enough to just want more, right? And Darlene will talk about that. Because I love girlfriends, but I'm not the founder. Okay, so keep learning. Oh my gosh, yeah. You know what? I think we forget as we get older that learning continues, and we're hard on ourselves when we don't know something and we have to learn something. It's like, oh, I should have known that. Why am I still doing this at this age? And all of you here are doing a lot of self-work, which means that every time I take somebody to the next level, that's the next operating system. Then you don't know how to operate on the next operating system. Then we have to do the self-image work all over again. Then we have to set new goals that are tied to that new person. So it's like growth is repeating itself. However, you are not going back to kindergarten. You're going to the PhD. Oh, I was about to say PhD. You see what you've done to me? PhD. I don't even know how to speak English now. So,
Funny.
yeah. So, you know, we have to remember that. And if you have to put stickies, that learning. I have a friend that's a very powerful coach, and she said on the podcast interview that I did with her, she said, "I am a perpetual beginner." I am a perpetual beginner. She's always going through life with curiosity. She's so humble, but yet so powerful, right? And this is what we need, right? Just because you've done a coaching program with somebody and they've taken you to the next level. And for you, Crystal, and for anybody, Michelle, that's what I'm going to teach you as well as we go forward, is that when you take a client to a certain level, you need to now take them to the next level. And this is how clients stay with you forever. As long as they want. Like I always tell my clients, you can stay with me as long as you want, not as long as you need, right? But the moment will come where you will surpass me. And then it's like, then you're off. But you shouldn't need to stay with me. You will want to. And that's every time we take a client to the next level of operating system, which is a goal, then we take it to the next one. And that I've seen coaches have clients stay with them through every operating system. Entrepreneurs, I mean, that's the most beautiful business, is recurring business, right? Recurring business, but not only recurring business, but through referral as well. So nurturing the clients is important, but where are you nurturing them to? So you have to have those very specific goals on where you're taking people or your business, okay? So that's all the self-learning and the business learning as well. So if you don't have enough business experience, and one of the things I work with coaches as well, primarily, is money and wealth mindset. Huge. Money and health mindset is probably the biggest block, because it's not only that you don't know how to manage money. You might be able to put together a budget and everything, but when it comes to charging somebody and saying, well, my charge is this versus my charge is this, right? That's a whole different ballgame. And when you're looking at somebody who's suffering, our heart just pops out at that point, right? It's like, you know, so, but you have to add that element of care with transaction, because if people don't pay your worth, you're not going to deliver your worth either. So defining your worth as a coach, as an entrepreneur, as a person who is out there influencing people, if you don't know what value you have and what dollar value you put on that, then I suggest definitely get that education to align with it so that you know what you need to work on. You may have very strong financial, strong financial strength mindset, right? But if you don't have clarity, uncertainty on that, then all these confusing, because when we're working with clients who need help, we're taking in all their stories, which takes us away from our own goal as well. So making sure your filter in your ventilation is clean all the time is critical, right? Critical. When we're working with the public, we have a lot of stuff coming at us. And even if I were to go to supper with somebody, thank goodness I don't hang around with anybody who would even talk about problems too much. I mean, we like talking about problems because we have to analyze, right? But not to be trapped in it. There has to be some kind of fun and inspiration. And if we're trapped in it, we just laugh at ourselves and then just call it a night, right? That's it. So self-awareness is also another level of learning that's really critical. When you're going towards your goals, the self-awareness piece is absolutely important, right? Because that's what keeps you on track. If you are hitting blind spots, like I'll give you an example. I remember when this was years ago again, when I first started my practice, I remember I was jumping from 3,000 to 6,000 charging for a client, right? And I remember I said, okay, I'm going to do this because I don't have money blocks. I come from money background, for goodness sakes, right? I help people with their money. No joke. I remember sitting in front of the guy and in half an hour, he's like, okay, where do I sign? I didn't talk about dollars yet because I was just about to hit him with the 6,000, right? Because I know what I'm worth. And the moment he said, so where do I sign on the dollar? Like, you see, I wish I would have known you, Dar. You would have kicked me in the head. But he said, where do I sign the dotted line? And and I said, okay, so this is how much it's going to cost. And I went like I choked. I literally choked, right? And I'm like, dang, I should have rehearsed more. And that's when I realized I have to rehearse it to myself. So even though I know what I'm worth, the old self was still talking as the old self. So then right away, I knew the energy was cut. I knew it. And he didn't come on board because I knew it was cut. That's how powerful our self-certainty is. So the next time I managed to get it, it was 2 weeks later, but I had to really practice the new lingo for my new self. And this is where self-image is critical, right? And that inner dialogue is really critical. So that was a blind spot for me. So even though I knew everything there is to know about sales, that blind spot, I didn't realize I still had that glitch, right, in my operating system. And these are glitches. And it's beautiful because it's telling me what I need to work on. Otherwise, what I'm going to work on that, oh, hold on, I don't look perfect enough. I think I need to go to the gym and get my body down to this level before I go and try to get a client for 6,000. Like I've heard some really weird ideas, I tell you, right, from people, finding the reasoning behind why they can't achieve what they can achieve. Limiting belief in core value systems. My core value is my integrity, my reputation. I do not do cheesy insurance salesman type things like the old style of selling where you don't care about somebody versus, you just want the money and who cares, right? That is my core value. But if they make me do something, it's like I've worked with a lot of marketing people and they make me do all these tactics, and that's why Sophie is with me, because she doesn't do that, right? And we work organically. And we work with the people. And so when I feel comfortable, it's like, yeah, let's go out into the cold market, right? I don't mind going in the cold market, but just don't wreck my reputation for it, right? But the reputation is not ego, it's my core values. So we really have to be clear on these things. We really have to. And once you do that and you own your presence in social media, they flock. And this is the only way you can really make things happen fast, by avoiding the needle in the haystack and you being the magnet to that needle. So all I want for all of you is to be that magnet standing outside the haystack, and that needle just comes right against you. And I've seen it happen millions of times. That's what I do for myself. And so I speak, this is like the gospel. There's no other way, right? Because it's daunting to go out there and try to find clients and your posse, and oh my goodness. But it is our internal inner dialogue. Our inner dialogue is critical. The second to last thing is ask for help. Ask for help and then accept it. Because we have a lot of people asking for help, but then they don't accept it. Right? We are so used to being the caregivers and the solutionists, and we are here to help everybody, but then we don't know how to receive that help. Right? And you know what? A lot of us don't even know what we need help for. Right? But there are experts out there. There are people, you know when you're heard, you know when you're seen. And don't stop until you get there. Right? People know how to say things in a pretty way. You can script anything. You can put makeup on I can't even say ugly dog because every dog's pretty, right? I
Lipstick
don't
on
know.
a pig. My father used to say lipstick on a pig.
Okay, lipstick on a pig. There you go. Lipstick on a
That's
pig.
terrible.
But it's still a pig. That poor pig. You see?
Shout out to my daddy. I'm sorry.
But like, accept the help, but also discern. And this is a big one, like learning discernment, right? That I see your ego. I see everything in you that you don't want to see, but I don't judge you for it because that's what makes you beautiful, right? So I can see that you have these imperfections. And if those imperfections are going to cause you to behave in a certain way, well, then I'm not going to put that expectation on you to deliver to me. Like, you know what I mean? So knowing how to really be in flow with your audience or with the person you're talking to or building that relationship with, just know what they're able to give and then keep it at that. Don't expect any more unless they're paying you, unless they're paying you as their leader, as their coach, as whatever it is. That's a different story, right? But when I have friends, they're my friends. If I coach them, that's a whole different ball game. Then it's not Susan friend anymore. I don't give away my gifts just like that. You can't. It's your collateral. It's your value, right? But what I give is enough, but the other one, there's true value. So just know how to operate that way so that you know who to get help from, and also do it your own way, right? And if somebody tells you something, it's their way. Most of the time it is their way, unless you're talking to somebody who's just able to remove themselves, right? And like when Darlene gives me advice or whatever, she's like, I know she's just sharing. She's not imposing. There's a different energy, and you'll know the energies. You're all energetic here. You'll know, right? But do it your way, which means you have to have a goal to lead you towards defining your way, because without that goal, which way are you going? Right? This is why the goal is so important, to help you find your way to win. Right? And there's no such thing as a goal that's too big, because if I say 10 million, I hit 5 million this year, do you think I'm going to cry over it? No, I'm not. Right?
Amen.
I'll just borrow the last 5 from Darlene and we're good.
Get it in the following 6 months because you put the momentum out there.
Exactly. So structure and processes, really important, but without a goal, you don't have a structure or a process, right? Priorities management, critical for women, right? Be careful how you spend your time. Use the calendar like it's your Bible. Really, really, because when we're not bound by targets at work and we're on our personal journey and entrepreneurialism or coaching, this is your day. How you structure your day is how you're going to prioritize your time, and who you have lunch with and who you don't. And you start really choosing. But what's wrong with choosing? Since when was choosing such a negative thing? Right? This is all about what serves you towards your goal. Because when you win, everybody wins. And this is why healthy boundaries are really important. Self-care, really important. Block out self-care. If you have to meditate for 15 minutes, block it out. If you have to go to the spa, if you look at your calendar in a week and you notice, hold on, where's my self-care time? I didn't go for my massage or whatever. I didn't go for my pedicure. Whatever it is, self-care, bath, book it in. Right? And it trains you to really be mindful of how you prioritize your time and your space, right? And then once you have all that down packed, flow cannot be an excuse, because now you're going to flow into a goal. You're not just flowing into a circular insanity loop, right? So everything has to be intentional, but then let it go. A flow without an intention is what I call lost, right? Intention, goal, same thing, right? Flowing, it's a female excuse when we say, I'm just going to flow into it. But what are you looking for though? Like, it's like, if I'm going out there looking for something, let's say I'm looking for somebody's lost item. Well, if they don't tell me what the item is, what the heck am I flowing into? What am I looking for, right? Be specific. What are you looking for? What color is the key? How big is the key? How round is it? How square is it, right? Really important. I'm going to go through this a little bit quicker here because there's a lot of information here, but what I might do is I might email you this link, because this is really important. Masculine and feminine energy, okay? Because the masculine energy is all about the structure and that staying on target and focus, and they're hyper focused and they don't have the emotions tied to it. Women are all about flow, unconditional love, understanding, being creative, intuitive, kind. Men don't think about all that. So, but the balance of the two is really important. Men have both sides. Women have both sides. But what I've seen with women is that they stay too much in the feminine and the masculine is too painful, right? So how I've trained myself in the masculine is I've worked with men and male dominated industries my entire career. So I could learn how to be like them, but yet still flow with love and caring and everything else like that, right? So I'm going to email this to you because I want Darlene to talk about goal friends, but this is really important that you do a little inventory of yourself with these two energies and see how much of one you're doing over the other. If it's imbalanced, that will cause misalignment, especially misalignment with what you're attracting. So I will email that. And the last thing is just keep feeding your faith, staying inspired, keep feeding your faith, surrounded by people that are not going to find a problem for every solution. You know what I mean? I mean, it's really, I mean, it's okay to be amongst friends. Sometimes I don't know, I've gone through friends so many times over and over and over again. Like literally, my father was worried that I was never going to get married because my commitment level was, up there. But I really do let go of people and create new circles as much as I can. The last year or two, I haven't, because I think I'm at that point where I have my tribe for the rest of my life. But right, like I've changed, and we have to flow with the change, and accountability is important. That's what accountability is these women that you surround yourself with have to hold you accountable. It's like, okay, Christine, let's think of the solution now. Because sometimes we go into a rabbit hole, right? It's like, let's find a solution. Let's have some fun. Let's laugh. Emotional contagion. Always have one person in your life that's going to make you laugh. That's not going to take you seriously, right? Because we take ourselves too seriously. Somebody has to not take you seriously as well. Surround yourself with success. And of course, avoid unnecessary negativity. So I don't know how many times I have to repeat myself, but that's the game. So we're going to let Darlene talk a little bit about Goal Friends. Darlene is the founder of Goal Friends, which is a nonprofit for helping women around the world elevate one another to achieve their goals and dreams. And she made it fun, and she made it feminine, and she made it sexy and confident. And she is a confident woman. This woman has hit massive success in her own marketing agencies. She's still successful to this day, and she's about to really embark into this mission that she created like 6 years ago, Darlene, 6 years or 5 years ago?
No, almost 10.
Oh my goodness, I'm stuck in time, honey. 10 years, and she has thousands of women around the world that are adopting this whole concept of goal friends. It's so great. I love the brand. So Darlene is in North Carolina. She's in the process of going through her own transition, which is really interesting. And, you know, no matter how intelligent, how smart, how successful we are, we all have those struggles that we go through every time we move to the next operating system. So, Darlene, welcome.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Susan. That was amazing. And hello, everyone. And thank you for inviting me to your community. It's been really fun to hear you be so fluent with goal setting. You're like my chief evangelist. And it's also because I'm in the thought leader world on a different scale, kind of mission based. It's interesting because I can hear it from a coaching side and from a participant side, and then from my community where it's more the mass market and now marginalized side. So it's super exciting. I do want to speak to a couple things. You said one thing, your heart has to serve your purpose. And that just really emotionally resonated with me because Goal Friends has been about my heart serving my purpose. I also have a marketing and branding company for 22 years. That's very linear, that's success driven, profit driven. It's a linear space. Goal Friends is not a linear space, although I teach linear principles. So I just wanted to talk about that. Susan covered so many areas. So I'm just going to give you some basics. And Susan, if you will, jump in, raise your hand up if there's something that you want to stop me with. So I'm going to start.
Oh, Dara, can you just speak closer to the camera? Because I think somebody says that, you know, I know I'm really loud, so I have to step away from the camera.
Oh, let me see if my volume's all the way up. Is that better?
Oh, that's better.
Is that better? I also have a very, very low voice and I'm sick, guys. I might have COVID. I haven't got my test yet because I didn't want to miss today. So I'll tell you a little bit about Goal Friends. I was inspired to do Goal Friends. I want to come back to that point. When I was 33, it wasn't Goal Friends yet. I was inspired. I felt called to share some of these principles that changed my life. I was 33 years old, and then I made a commitment to God when I was 50. I would spend the rest of my life doing it, not realizing that time would go by so fast. So Goal Friends is a international community. It's global. We connect countries now. We probably need this connection now more than ever because of the pandemic. So I don't know about you guys, but I actually needed this class today more than now, just to keep me in flow. Excuse me for a minute. I'm gonna cough. Goal Friends, it's based on 6 pillars, and those 6 pillars are goals, growth, your personal growth, grit, because it's hard to reach your goals, as Susan was talking about. Susan talked a lot about how to set goals and why they work, but there's also that persistence and staying with it, even when you fail. It's that grit stage, and we all go through it. It causes more growth, but it's grit. And then there's gratitude, grace, and giving. It naturally is a byproduct of reaching those goals. You will give gratitude, grace, and giving. There's 3 S's that I talk about, or actually, well, it's 3, are structure, support, and sharing. Sharing is critical. And Susan, I think there's a next slide that talks about the 42%. Yeah, you'll switch. So what Susan talks about the goals and how you do it. I always talk about why you do it and why it's important and why it works. I like to talk about the neuroscience behind it. So I'm going to start with this because sharing is right in the middle, and that's where Goal Friends really thrives in the finding. First of all, if you write down a goal, put pen to paper, hand to head, it's kinesthetics, 3 modalities. You write it down, you have a 42% better chance of reaching that goal. And I always say to people, if someone told you almost 50% there, if you do it, fundamentally, you have a natural GPS, like a keyboard in a computer. Write it down. People, please pick up your pen. It's your dream pen. If you share it, you have a 65% chance, and that's a huge odd. I recently did that when we were on a Goal Friends Zoom call. I shared that one of my biggest bucket list items were to bring Goal Friends into the prison system. There was somebody that was a director at one of the prison systems, and now we're now in the prison system. Hadn't I shared that bucket list, the process could have been much more complicated, much harder. And that's a huge win for me. That was one of the, it was a highlight of my life thus far. And then if you have an accountability partner, or coach or mentor, which you guys are talking about, you have a 95% chance. So that these are really great statistics. And I went ahead and went back and checked, and those are recent statistics. We also talk about four C's, which are community, connection, collaboration, and creativity. What makes Goal Friends so popular is it's about you. You know, we're nurturers, we're taking care of everybody, but I carved out a time and a space for you to get clear on what you want, to talk about it, to have dreams, to get inspired, share your passions, and live your dreams. And there's not enough time and space for women to do that. And whoever is attracted to it really wants to thrive in that space. It doesn't have to be a real linear goal. You may come and say, I need more connection with people, or I just want to get a little more purposeful, or a little bit more resilient, or I need some connection. I need friendship. I need to go to the next level of my business. I'm a solopreneur and I work on my own, too isolated. You know, we've seen that with the pandemic. So I just wanted to talk about some of those basics, is the 6 pillars, the 3 S's, and the 4 C's. And then I want to speak to a couple things that, Susan, I don't think you touched on, but this one is really, really important. There are 2 types of goals. And you were talking about personal, professional. There's motivation by deficiency. Remember you were telling the story about the woman and her son. She just wanted to feed her son, and she kept going to get these hits, these dopamine hits, and learning, you know, it's the same thing. But that's when you're motivated by deficiency, you're motivated by lack. You don't have enough money. That causes stress and anxiety. It's life. It's who we are. Sometimes you have to pay the bills. You know, you have to afford certain things that you need, but it's still considered motivation by deficiency. Sometimes it really works. You get a good swift kick in the rear end, and it motivates you. Say your sales are down, you might lose your job. It motivates you, but it still will cause stress and anxiety. The best place to stay with your goals is to be motivated by inspiration. So when you're inspired, a byproduct of that is happiness and joy. When you're in passion, you're fueled by that passion and you're inspired. So it's motivation and joy. You'll know if the barometer is anxiety and stress, you know, you're out of alignment, and you want to, you know, again, if you're motivating, you're at the survival level of paying your bills, you can't get around that. You have to do what you have to do. But if you're in a different level, do a barometer check on that. And we talk about that in the classes that we do. You know, how do you feel about that? Constantly moving you forward. And you know, one of my favorite things to talk about is a neuroscience. So did you have anything that you want to check in at any point?
No, you keep going unless you want to take a little water break.
It's only because I'm about to cough. So I'm a kind of a nerd, like all the words like neurobics, like that's a big word right now, keeping you going, neurobics, any neuroscience, any chemical dump. So I want to talk about things Susan's mentioned many times. Emotional contagion. So when you bring women together, it's a little less effective on a Zoom, although we're having it here because it's a little linear. It's a little less effective, but when you bring women together, go to dinner, go to lunch, bring them together, a friend circle, a retreat. You know, we have to do it right now because of the pandemic. And you can learn and you can sell and you can do everything you want to with technology. 2 things happen. You have an oxytocin surge in your brain. That is, and I want to make sure that I got it right for all my, hold on, I had to change my notes this morning. So your oxytocin is your bonding gene. So first of all, you're going to flood your brain when you come together with oxytocin. That's the mother-child chemical, I'm sorry. And because we're wired for community, there's an excitement about it. Then you're going to have a dopamine dump. I call it gulpamine. You know, a goal a day keeps depression away, which is such a fun thing to think about. But you're going to have this dopamine dump that helps you plan and move forward and take action. You need to have high dopamine levels and sustainability. And then the third element is that emotional contagion. you pick up on people's vibes. So when you bring like-minded people together, like in your coaching spaces, you've got a high vibe tribe there ready to learn and ready to move forward or dream or get inspired. It's catchy. So what Susan said, I don't like the DD word, is the Debbie Downer. Because you heard one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch. It's a simple term, but if you do get somebody that's a real low vibe person, they may be situational, that's fine. But if someone is very, very low vibe, they bring other people down. You can't raise their vibe, you have to go down to their vibe. So that's really, really important to try to stay with the high vibe people. Right now, in this pandemic, if I were to measure vibe right now, we're, say that I stayed on a 7 or 8 most of the time, I was pretty high vibe. If you go too high is bliss or flow. We can't live in that constant space, but I was pretty high vibe. During the pandemic, it's got us at about a even kill 5 or 4. We're really pushing hard with our own mental and human makeup to make things happen. So having women, bringing them together in a coaching space, in a girlfriend space, whatever, really will help you sustain that chemical level and, share your dreams and get passionate together.
Absolutely. And that's where I think it's not only is the education that you provide to these women so fun. Brand is everything, right? It has to be fun for women. It has to be fun. But the most important thing is getting women together to achieve goals together. And I think this is what is the most powerful, is that when you can gather women together, we really can save the world. We really, I mean, it's unbelievable when you have that contagion of that inspiration from one person to another, and that is the agreement between the groups, that you stay high vibe. You don't have to be fake high vibe. You don't always have to be on, but there always has to be a leader there that keeps it going, and I think I love what you're doing. And your goal is to take it right to every single country. You're already in many countries right now, right?
So we're probably in about 30 countries right now. And some of the countries, there's 1 or 2 in each country and they're connecting. But it's about the friendships that are made. It's about the community. Yes, you have personal development, personal growth. There's transformation and goal setting. It's intertwined, but it's about the collaboration and what they're doing together. So I know there's probably someone on here, Susan, I know you're new in your group, but what these women are doing together is amazing. I didn't expect that. I was very linear. I wanted to teach you, if you set a goal, if you write it down, if you use the generation effect, hand ahead, let it go through you versus to you, just thinking it. I just wanted people to see that it changed my life and it works. I did not expect for this community to happen. I didn't plan for goal. I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to run a Goal Friends group in the women's empowerment segment initiative. It just happened because the women propelled me. They kept saying, we want more. It was like this launching pad for women who want more. And they all were propelling each other, myself included. So it's really been, it's been an evolution, and it's been just a joy to see the magic that has happened. A really small example that just happened recently, I just shared with you about the prison system. I was just randomly sharing that was one of my lifelong goals. Recently, there was Italy and Belgium connected, 2 women, 2 girlfriends in Italy and Belgium. And during the pandemic, one of the gals in Italy, named Deborah, decided to go back to watercoloring painting because she was stuck home and she had some time. Well, she shared them in her girlfriend meeting. Well, her talent is incredible. Belgium was Lise in Belgium was producing a book, and she used her images in that, and then they just started collaborating, and they just watched it flourish and grow. That's just a prime example of women being creative, connecting, and collaborating. We're naturally supporting each other. We're naturally going to rally for each other, Susan, just like you're supporting Goal Friends and I support you. We naturally want to cheer. We're chief cheerleaders for each other.
Yeah. And that's important. You have to have your chief cheerleader, chief believer, right? And always have those, that's your fuel. That's the gas tank. That's the gas station you have to stop in every once in a while to get your gas filled up, because that's what they're there for. That's what we're all here for each other.
That's right. And we all need women. We are so emotionally based. We need cheerleaders. Like you said, men are transactional. We're personal relationship based. Not every woman, most women. And we all struggle with the same thing. I don't care how skinny you are, beautiful you are, young you are, old you are, rich you are. I've seen it all. Again, in 10 years, I've heard it all. I've seen it all, no matter what country you come in, little difference in cultures. We're all struggling with the same thing, and that is to be heard, to be accepted. Not as much the high achieving space, not as much about money and finances. Most people, you want to, I think the number one stressor that I see is weight. That's women weight.
Body image.
I heard body image and confidence, then money. Those are the three. But with this group, and it can happen in any group, not just Goalfriends. Goalfriends, when I launched Goalfriends, there were no tribes. You had networking companies. This was more of a personal networking to support each other in their dreams, in our dreams and goals.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because when they get together and meet, there is a curriculum where they stay centric, like goal centric. It's like they have to stay focused on talking about the goals. And this is why I wanted to lead it into the, I'm sorry, everybody. I know that it's supposed to finish at 2, but if we give it another 15 minutes, we'll be done because we're nearly finished. So if you have to go, I can understand, but it's such a big topic. Like, honestly, we can go on, like, this is a 2-day workshop usually, just this part. And this is only goals. Can you imagine? We haven't even gotten to self-image yet. We haven't gotten to self-awareness. Oh my goodness, like, honestly. So it's a lot of work, but this is a start though, because without the right goal, right? Because in your program, you talk about the first module is getting the right goal. Like, what is that right goal?
We start with your bucket list, and it's such a simple thing, so it's fun. We don't do a vision board but starting with a bucket list, as you said, clarity equals confidence, and confidence is empowering. One of my blanket statements. When you get clear, but your bucket list is like random and huge and big dreams. But when you get clear, at least on a bucket list item, like I said, I mentioned for the prison system, you have an image of what you want. And I'm going to throw this in real quick. I'm going to go off the topic. That's where we start, and then we convert those to goals, some of the bucket list items. But I want to tell you a sample, and this might help you when you're coaching. I was in a corporate room with women doing this whole goalosophy. I was doing this lunch and learn, and women asked me to come in and talk about this. So I asked the women to write down 10 goals that they had. Now remember, these are all high achiever, high executive women. And I said, don't pick up your pen yet, because there's a caveat to what I'm going to say. And I said, the 10 goals cannot include your partner, your children, or your job. You would have thought I shot everybody. All these women just sat there and they're looking at me, but I had prompters. Like I ridiculous prompters. Like, have you ever thought that, take a girls trip, ride a camel, write a book, play the piano? I had to give these women prompters because everybody was so groomed to talk about your job, your spouse, or your children.
Yep.
I didn't take your pets out of there. I'm not too much of a pet. But that is telling in and of itself that this group of 10 women, all 6-figure women, could not think outside of those 3 areas. So that's what Goalfriends forces you to do, or it opens you up. It allows you to think about something about you outside of more responsibility. Obviously, it includes your family, your children, and your career, your aspirations, but it also forces you to think outside of the box, maybe in your peripheral vision. While you're running a linear path, what else can you do? And the women share that. So when someone may share a bucket list from the onset, as everybody's developing their list of goals, other women say, wow, I never thought about that. I want to do that too. So it's really engaging and fun. There's no downside to it.
Absolutely. Well, because it's inspiring, it's keeping our energy up, right? And that's the key. So, and that's what women do best. And if we stay on that kind of vibration, we can achieve any goal as long as it's measurable and there's progress tracked, right?
Sure.
Yeah, but that's why I think the last slide really wraps it up. And these are the 5 principles that guide me in achieving life success, right? It's always celebrating. Always we are so hard on ourselves for everything that might go wrong, or we're not doing enough, or not enough, or we don't look good. Celebrate, find something every day to celebrate. And we train our minds to actually go create things to celebrate, because we'll feel bad that we don't have one. So celebrate and celebrate your wins and brag about them, even to yourself, because that's where we don't feel comfortable. But it becomes fun, because we're so much on the selfless side that even if we brag, it's never going to be selfish. We have to swing to the selfish to get to that even keel. But also practice self-compassion. We're not perfect. And the more we practice self-compassion, we will not see the dark sides of the world. At least it won't affect us in a very negative way. I can look at negative and not have it take me down the rabbit hole, because I know that there's nothing perfect and it's not about me, right? And so give generously and receive graciously. Please put this across your house if you have, seriously, give generously, receive graciously. It is what I live by, right? I've had to build that, by the way. It didn't come naturally. Say no guilt-free. Absolutely. Say no guilt-free. We're not responsible for everybody's happiness. But every coach, every expert out there, they have their avatar. So they will take care of those people, not us, if it's not your avatar. Master your thoughts. Don't try to master your emotions, because it's your thoughts that create your emotions. It's your thoughts that are creating your feelings. If you just listen to your own thoughts without torturing yourself and not judging yourself for your thoughts, you'll be able to, because you can manage thoughts. You cannot manage emotions. You can't even manage energy without managing your thoughts, right? The inner dialogue is critical work, right? Of course, girlfriends, surround yourself with inspiring women, not people who find problems with every solution, right?
No negative people.
No negative. And keep life simple. I think we've forgotten how to even understand what this word is. Keep life simple. I don't take in a lot of information. I don't read everything that needs to be read, but I did have to read some research, but there's a goal. I had to put it in the slide. Right? We did our Q&A, so I don't want to, but if you want to stay on, I could stay on and answer your questions, but just to respect the people that have been over the 2 o'clock, I wanted to do the draw for that business and life consultation that I promised everybody. So Sophie, did you draw somebody?
Yes, I did.
Who is it?
It's Melissa Motola.
She wins everything.
Really? Does she really?
Thank you.
Congratulations, Melissa.
Thank you. I should introduce myself. Hold on, let me turn my camera on.
Absolutely, Melissa.
Can you guys
We're
see?
gonna
I
be
don't have the
talking.
view. Thank you. I work with Darlene, and I also have been a part of Goal Friends before that, and also part of the PhD program with Goal Friends. So it's been a lot of the things resonated as always, and I think that it's when you're in line with your goals and the right people, the sky's the limit, and just know that there's a lot of bad times and good times during that process. But if you keep your eye on the prize, it's really rewarding in so many ways. So.
Well, great work, Melissa, because I've heard your name many times, and the PhD is going to be massive, because I think every coach out there should have a PhD certification, because, hey, if we can't master goals, what the heck are we doing, right? So imagine being certified on being a goal achiever, like literally. I think that would just blow up the world. So, so thank you, and for doing the work that you guys do. But yeah, we'll be talking, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you so much for having us and for supporting us.
No problems.
This was
My pleasure.
amazing. Thank you, Susan.
Yeah.
As always, you've been such a treasure in so many lives. Thank you.
Yeah,
If
great
you ever
job.
need
Thank
any
you.
clarity, just book a call with me, and then, no strings attached, because I love clarity. Clarity is not complicated. Clarity is actually very simple, and it doesn't take long to achieve clarity. That's why we have to simplify our mind, right? Can you imagine getting clarity in 15 minutes? It's like, that's what it takes to accelerate. But thank you, seriously, thank you so much for joining and for listening. And I hope you're taking it away into your business, into how you operate every day. And yeah, send me your goals. Like, seriously, I want to hear your goals.
I'll send you some.
Oh, I want to see yours. Yours are like, I can't wait to see your structured goals.
I've been writing the whole time. I have
love it.
10 pages of notes. This was amazing.
Well, if you have any questions, like I said, I'll still be here if you have any questions. But for those that have to leave, thank you for staying on.
Thank you.
Suzanne. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too. Go rest now, darling.
I am, sweetie. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was
No
great
problem.
meeting everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.